Being one of the oldest, longest-lasting superheroes on Earth, Superman has a very large list of villains. But when you are the strongest, a lot of your villains don't last very long and just kind of pass under your radar. I'm Adam Andrews with Top 10 Nerd, and this is the top 10 obscure Superman villains. On the topic of Superman though, who is your favorite live-action Superman? Personally, I think Henry Cavill kinda nailed it, but I know there are some of you who will disagree completely, so debate down below. But in at number 10 is Microwave Man. Punch-proof, bulletproof, and capture-proof. That's him, the Microwave Man. Louis Padgett has the honor of being the first actually superpowered villain to ever appear in DC Comics. Louis gained microwave-based abilities through some scientific experimentation, allowing him to absorb microwaves and alter them, which he used to rob banks. His experiments attracted the attention of aliens though, who invited him to see the galaxy with them, and he accepted. Now an old man, they finally brought him back to Earth so he could pass away on his home planet. However, when he discovers the existence of Superman and that his microwave powers have increased thanks to how much more microwaves are used in the present time, he asks the aliens to make him young again so he can experience a fight with Superman, even though he knows that the strain of it will kill him. They agree. And so during the fight, Superman comes up with a way to defeat him, but the aliens tell Superman about how Louis will pass away afterwards, so Superman lets him win. Number 9, Toyman. Toyman is a little less obscure as he is a long-lasting character. He's just so freaky and weird, and I wanted to talk about him, so here we are. Winslow Schott was a very talented toy maker. He was bullied as a kid, and as an adult, a businessman who owned an arms manufacturer tried to convince Winslow to sell his toy designs in order to be turned into weapons, which was absolutely not cool with Winslow. Unfortunately, the passing of his android toy wife, Mary, forced his hand and he had to sell out. He took revenge on the businessman though with an exploding teddy bear, and thus the Toyman was born. He can go from a goofy mad scientist to a psychologically disturbed tragic figure in his stories. The worst part is every time he attempts to salvage his reputation and do something good, something tragic usually drives him further into darkness. Number 8, Manchester Black. Technically, Manchester Black is supposed to be an anti-hero, apparently, but like almost everything he's done feels like a villain kind of thing to me, I don't know. Manchester Black is actually a pretty strong telepath and telekinetic, and he did kind of horrible things with this power. Like on New Earth, he ended up revealing Superman's secret identity to all of the villains and even made Superman think that Black had taken the life of Lois Lane in an attempt to make Superman break his oath and kill Black, which didn't work. On Prime Earth, he discovered Superman's secret identity, made some aliens become the Kent's neighbors in Hamilton County, captured Superboy and nullified his powers for a while, forced him to watch images of Lois and Clark fighting the Elite and suffering, and then he returned his powers and used John against his father, Superman. How have I never heard of this guy before? I don't know. Number 7, Master Jailer. Master Jailer became a character in a time when DC was struggling to find stories for the Man of Steel. It's kind of hard when you have a character that can pretty much do anything he wants to. So for Carl Draper, he made a fortune creating foolproof containment units for maximum security prisons. He started to become a villain, however, when he decided to create a containment unit for the strongest superhero on Earth, Superman. Didn't really go too well for him though. But his real power emerged when, thanks to that Manchester Black guy, Master Jailer learned Superman's true identity. In the newer continuity, this guy only lasted a real world month after he joined the Suicide Squad and used his abilities to contain an explosion, which ended his life. Number 6, Silver Banshee. Siobhan McDougal comes from an old Irish family whose firstborn members are cursed with the powers of these Silver Banshees. When her father passed away and she was next in line, her uncle and brother opposed her, not wanting a woman to lead the clan, which kinda sucks. While performing the ritual without her uncle's consent, her brother interrupted it, causing her to be sent to the Netherverse for centuries. Eventually, the crone brought her back and bestowed the powers of the Silver Banshee on her so that she could exact her revenge. Now, she first appeared in Metropolis when Superman was a confident little tyke in 1987, and she actually nearly took him down permanently with her voice-based abilities abilities, which a lot of people on this list can't say for themselves. One of her best moves was that if she knew someone's name, she could actually take their life in one fell mouth movement, which she used against Superman after learning his true Kryptonian name, although it just heavily stunned him. Again, he's one tough son of a gun. Number 5, Hobby Robber. If I ever become a villain, I really hope I have an extremely specific MO like Hobby Robber. Now, in case you didn't connect the dots, Hobby Robber, Lucius Spruce, has a thing for stealing people's hobby-related items, which is honestly so underrated in terms of how absolutely annoying that would be. Like, could you imagine being a painter or someone who makes model airplanes or something like that, and he just keeps stealing your paintbrushes or like your tools? It would drive me up the wall. For Superman, the Hobby Robber decided to set himself to stealing from Clark Kent's clock collection. You didn't know Clark Kent had a clock collection? Well, you're not alone, because I think he has only ever had it the one time Hobby Robber appeared back in Action Comics number 73 in 1944. Number 4, the Dummy. While the villain known as the Dummy was technically a vigilante villain, he has gone up against the Man of Steel himself, although extremely unsuccessfully, which shouldn't be surprising as the Dummy is either a very small man or a wooden ventriloquist dummy brought to life, who wields a walking stick that can fire a force beam and is really smart, which I feel like is untrue given the fact that he has tried to take on the Man of Steel while being 3'1". But hey, he had the courage to try his best, which is still something, so I can, The Dummy first appeared in Leading Comics number 1 in December 1941, and the best thing about this character is the fact that we actually don't know if he is or isn't an actual ventriloquist dummy. Number 3, Titano. Maybe it's just me, but I noticed a lot of villains from DC Comics happen to be apes. I read a lot of comics, it's kind of part of this job, but I have never fully understood why DC specifically has a majority of ape-based supervillains. Titano, though, is one of the more interesting ones. As a chimpanzee in a space program, he got bombarded with cosmic radiation that made him grow to an absolutely ridiculous size, go rampaging in Metropolis, and for some reason, he can now shoot beams of green kryptonite radiation out of his eyes. It's a perfect ability to use against Superman, which is crazy how that works. I don't know. The kicker for me, though, is how Superman defeats Titano by throwing him back in time to let the dinosaurs just deal with this massive ape. Number 2, Mr. Z, or Mr. Z, whichever you prefer. Now, I'd be lying if I said the concept for Mr. Z wasn't at least somewhat cool. His whole shtick is being immortal and traveling through time to trap famous people throughout history in a crystal that sits on top of his walking cane. Now, Superman, being one of the most popular and important heroes, obviously meant there was going to be at least an attempt to get inside that crystal. Unfortunately for Mr. Z, Superman's Kryptonian heritage just means that he is invulnerable to the crystal. Not only invulnerable to it, but he can overload the crystal, destroying it and releasing all those trapped inside. Geez, I wonder why DC started struggling to make Superman's stories interesting. I don't know, maybe it's because he can just do whatever he wants. As for Mr. Z, he would face Superman twice more, once back in 1943 and again when the pair got stranded on an island and Superman got rescued, but Mr. Z was literally just left there to starve. How heroic, Superman, how heroic. And in at number 1 is Blue Matt. Here's how obscure Blue Matt is. On both of the wikis I checked out for this character, there was basically zero information. Matt appeared only in World's Finest Superman and Batman number 312 and 313 in 1985 as a member of the villainous group known as The Network. They arrive on the scene and instantly start explaining their powers while they start attacking people, which is an interesting way to go about it, but there you go. Other members can control sound waves, electrocute people, disintegrate people, all that fun villain stuff, but Blue Matt, he goes invisible. And he can turn other things invisible, like when he turned a wall invisible that Batman just runs right into when he's trying to attack Blue Matt. Blue Matt also seems to be the most shy one in the group as he keeps umming and ahhing whenever he talks, which is honestly kind of adorable, I can't lie. And there you have it, 10 obscure Superman villains. With a rogues gallery like Superman's, I'm bound to have missed some, so let me know down below. I've been Adam Andrews, this is Top 10 Nerd, and until next time, peace out, nerds.